time is 6:45. Here is the news, edited by Danushka Madhavala and assisted by Surangani. Read by Victor Raj. First, take a look at the headlines of the local news. Landslide warning have been issued to 6 districts. At least 4 persons have died due to the prevailing bad weather situation. Sri Lanka reported highest number of coronavirus deaths in a day yesterday. Japan emergency assistance to strengthen COVID-19 response in Sri Lanka. Steps would be taken to provide the vaccine to everyone who should be vaccinated. The Treasury instructed to purchase stockpiled vegetables at the special economic centers in the country. WHO says delayed child vaccination and share jabs with COVAX. Local news in detail. The National Building Research Organization has issued Level 3 landslide warnings for 3 districts. Meanwhile, warnings will be issued to Galle, Kaluthara and Mathura districts. Palindanuwara, Agalawatta, Walalawita, Mathugama, Dodangoda, Ingiriya and Bulat Sinhala in Kaluthara districts have been issued with landslide warnings. Niyagama, Neluwa, Elpitiya, Baddegama, Thabalama, Galle, 4 Graverts and Yakkalamula in Galle districts have been issued with landslide warnings. Peterbadura area in Mathura districts have been also issued with landslide warnings as well. Since the rainfall within the past 24 hours has exceeded 150 mm, people living in the aforementioned areas have been urged to evacuate to safe locations to avoid the risk of landslides, slope failures, rock falls, cutting failures and ground subsidence if the showery condition persists. In the meantime, Level 2 amber warning for possible landslides was issued for the Sithawaka area in Colombo district, Nagadu area in Galle district, Horana area in the Kaluthara district, Varakapula and Dehiyovita in Kagala districts, Ahaliyaguda area in Ratnapura districts have been issued with landslide warnings. The Disaster Management Center says at least 4 people have died and 11,542 people belonging to 2,750 families in 7 districts have been affected due to the adverse weather conditions prevailing in the several parts of the country for the last few days. A 32-year-old father of 2 has died in a flood in the Alutwat area in Galle, while another has died in the same district. A 55-year-old male died after a mound of earth collapsed onto his home in Kagala area, while another was killed in a flood in the Variapula area. Disaster Management Center says that 175 people belonging to 42 affected families are housed in a shelter. People in Galle, Mathura, Kurunegala, Kagala, Gampaha, Colombo, Kaluthara and other districts have been affected by the rains and winds, the centre said. Significant rainfall has been received in many parts of the island during the last 24 hours, and the Kalu, Kalani, Nilwala, Gin, Attanagaloya and Mahaoya rivers are overflowing, and the irrigation department has issued flood warnings. Certain low-lying areas are inundated and several incidents of earth slips have also been reported. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. 2,289 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. Among the positive cases identified yesterday are 2,269 associates of the Navia COVID-19 cluster and 20 foreign arrivals. According to the Epidemiology Unit report at 10 p.m. Friday, a total of 138,085 COVID-19 cases have been reported and 27,054 infected patients are being treated at hospitals, while 110,108 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far, Total of 1,154,795 people have received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccination and 243,957 have received the second dose. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 death toll surpassed the 900 mark yesterday as 29 more victims were confirmed by the Director General of Health Services. This is reportedly the highest ever coronavirus deaths Sri Lanka has posted in a single day since the outbreak of the pandemic last year. According to Epidemiology Unit's data, new fatalities have moved the total to 923. Japan International Cooperation Agency and Sri Lanka Ministry of Health have signed a bilateral agreement for JICA's Emergency Technical Cooperation Grant to strengthen the COVID-19 response in Sri Lanka. Major General Dr. Sanjeeva Munasinghe, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, and Yamada Tetsuya, Chief Representative of Japan International Cooperation Agency Sri Lanka office, signed the agreement for the project for strengthening COVID-19 response. This project primarily focuses on provision of equipment which are essential for COVID-19 treatment, such as ventilators, ICU beds, ultrasound scanners, blood, gas analyzers, etc. Secretary to the Treasury S.R. Article instructed district secretaries to purchase stockpiled vegetables at the special economic centers in the country. The required funds will be issued from the Treasury. Purchased vegetables will be delivered through Sri Lanka Army and private traders. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation has initiated a program to distribute vegetables for the persons affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and recent floods. This initiative will be implemented under the direction of SLBC Director General, Mr. Chandrapala Liyanage. Commercial Bank is sponsoring the program. These vegetables will be distributed to the people in isolated areas and flood-hit areas. The depression over the Southeast Arabian Sea has intensified into a deep depression. Prevailing showery condition in the southwestern part of the country, particularly in western, Sabaragamu and central provinces, is expected to continue further. Heavy falls above 100 mm will be occur at some places. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Army Commander General Shavendra Silva said yesterday that steps would be taken to provide the vaccine to everyone who should be vaccinated. General Shavendra Silva, who is also the head of the National Operations Center for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreaks, said that steps are being taken to purchase the required vaccine stocks. He said Chief of the Presidential Task Force on the procurement of COVID vaccine, Lalit Veeratunga, was having discussions with several countries to obtain the shortfall of AstraZeneca vaccine doses required for the second dose and expressed hope that it would be possible. The Army Chief said steps are being taken to purchase 13 million doses of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine from Russia, adding that 900,000 out of that are due in the next few days. He also said that 900,000 doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine would be received by the end of June or early July. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients, of Superivicky will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Superivicky and Kakulu, products from Siddhaleba.
Moving on to Watchlight, Sri Lankan Airlines said that according to the latest health guidelines issued by the Australian High Commission in Colombo, passengers travelling on Sri Lankan Airlines to Australia require a negative rapid antigen test prior to check-in for flights. Commencing tomorrow, passengers are kindly advised to contact their travel agent or contact Sri Lankan Airlines Global Call Centre on +94 11 777 1979 or visit website www.srilankan.com for further details. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. WHO says delay child vaccinations and share jabs with COVAX. Clashes spread to West Bank in Israel-Gaza violence. Trump loyalist Elisa Stefanik wins Republican leadership post. World news in detail. Wealthier nations should postpone plans to give children and teenagers COVID vaccines and instead donate supplies to low-income countries, the head of the World Health Organization says. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus on Friday urged countries to supply more vaccines to the Global Fair Access Scheme COVAX. The international distribution of COVID vaccination remains vastly uneven. Since the first vaccines were approved in December, wealthier countries have bought up most of the supply. Many are racing to vaccinate as much as of their population as possible. Speaking at a virtual conference in Geneva on Friday, the WHO's Dr. Tedros said he understood why some countries wanted to vaccinate children and adolescents, but said, right now I urge them to reconsider. Violent clashes between Israeli troops and Palestinians have spread across much of the occupied West Bank following days of hostilities in Gaza. At least 10 Palestinians were reported to have died in the West Bank unrest, while hundreds have been injured. Israeli forces used tear gas, rubber bullets and live fire as Palestinians threw petrol bombs. The confrontation in the West Bank marked a broadening out of some of the worst violence in the region in years. The conflict began on Monday and followed weeks of spiraling Israeli-Palestinian tension in East Jerusalem. The increased hostilities culminated in clashes at a holy site revered by both Muslims and Jews. Hamas, the militant Islamist group which ruled Gaza, began firing rockets after warning Israel to withdraw from the site, triggering retaliation airstrikes. At least 126 people have been killed in Gaza and 8 have died in Israel since the fighting began. U.S. Republicans have appointed Navy Congresswoman Elisa Stefanik, a Trump loyalist, to third-ranking post in the House of Representatives. It follows an earlier vote to oust the incumbent chairwoman Liz Cheney from the role over her criticism of former President Donald Trump. The final tally of Friday's secret ballot was 134 for Ms. Stefanik to 46 for her opponent, Congressman Chief Roy. Ms. Stefanik's win was expected as she had the backing of the top Republicans. The move is seen as a sign Mr. Trump's grip on the party is as strong as ever 6 months after he lost the election. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. WHO says delay child vaccination and share jabs with COVAX. Clashes spread to West Bank in Israel-Gaza violence. Trump loyalist Elisa Stefanik wins Republican leadership post. That ends world news. Moving on to development news, Sri Lankan engineering The engineering and maintenance arm of Sri Lankan Airlines has entered into a strategic collaboration with UK-based Avances Aviation to offer maintenance services for the embodiment of passengers to freighter conversions for Airbus A320 and A330 aircraft. The first output of this collaboration was the embodiment of the PTF conversion of an Airbus A320 aircraft for the operation First Air, which was recently completed on time and within the budget. Sri Lankan Engineering is an EASA-approved MRO facility with major maintenance check capability at its base in Colombo, Sri Lanka. The expansion into aircraft modification and conversions is part of its strategy to rapidly develop its maintenance portfolio and thereby attract foreign airlines to Sri Lanka for maintenance services. That ends development news. Sports news is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Bangladesh all-rounder Shakib Al Hasan is said to return at number 3 in the upcoming 3-match ODI series against Sri Lanka, scheduled to be played from 23rd of May. Bangladesh team management opted to demote Shakib in his comeback ODI series after the ban against West Indies to provide experience down the order. However, the ploy did not pay off as Nazmul Hossain failed to seize the opportunity at the position that paved the way for Zaumia Zakar's return in the following ODI series against New Zealand, which Shakib missed. Minhajul Abdin, the Bangladesh chief selector, confirmed the development, adding that they feel the position suits him